Hello, everybody. This is Wisdom Entrepreneurs March 2020, and I put out a message today saying that the Wisdom Entrepreneurs is going to be about dealing with hope, uncertainty, and the unknown. Maybe I can't remember now what the message said. It's really interesting times, isn't it? Really interesting, and it's only the start, really. We were just listening to our Prime Minister, and we haven't taken the same measures. So our schools aren't closed, but there is a sort of message to socially isolate and not go to restaurants and hotels and all the things that you mentioned, Elsa. And yeah, it's really interesting. So all our work's been cancelled, prison work's been cancelled. In fact, they didn't cancel it, but we took the decision this morning that it was the safest and most sensible thing to do. And it felt really sad because, the guys aren't going to get the groups. But then it felt safer because we don't want to take anything into them. If it got into the prison system, then it would be rife. So it would go around people really quickly. And then there was 2 events that we were meant to be at this week, and 3 events, and they were all cancelled. So it's going to be really interesting. And from a totally selfish point of view, it's the new financial year. So I'm sort of thinking, wow, the new contracts, what's going to happen with them, and everything's going to be very, very strange. But yeah, is anyone else directly affected at the moment, apart from the sort of hunkering down, as Carolyn says?
Yeah, I've had some organizations saying that they're closing down for one's 1 week, one's 2 weeks. And from there, they'll just be deciding what it is that they'll be doing with the best information that they have. So I'll just have to see what happens.
I know, yeah, definitely, Steve. Definitely, we've all got to do that, haven't we? When I was reflecting earlier, I was thinking, well, what's the? I'm sure that I'll go in and out of fear as well, and doubt, and just as the, because it could be months as the weeks and months roll on. We'll all go in and out of that. But I was reflecting earlier, and I thought, well, what would Sid say? And what came to mind was the back to living in the now. Back to just dealing what's in front of us, following our own wisdom, following common sense. I can be a bit gung-ho. So initially I was quite like, oh, well, it won't affect us, we'll still go into the prison and we'll still do this and still do that. Until it came to me really at the weekend that was a bit not very responsible, because if the curve is to be flattened, as they say, then the sort of this should help, keeping ourselves away from other people and trying to weed it out in that way. And then when I think about, like Steve says, about contracts and business and things like that, and I wonder what will happen, I think, well, all you can do is come back to the now and come back to this moment and just literally deal with what's in front of you. And as awareness raises, both from what's happening and from our own awareness, then we'll deal with what's there. And it's funny, I don't know if I can find it again, but I picked up something from in the missing link earlier, which I can't find it now, but it's under the consciousness one, under the consciousness chapter, where it says something like basically it says there's no problem that can't be solved. All the answers lie within human consciousness. I'll find it so that I'm not paraphrasing. Consciousness, here we go. Somewhere in the innermost recesses of our consciousness lie the answers to the questions all mankind seeks. And I mean, I was thinking, yeah, that could be that Sid meant that more philosophically. But it can be more practical as well, can't it? It can be more just day by day. Is that it brings a lot of hope to me to think in the consciousness of human beings are all the answers, and this can be no different. This is the same. Hello. Oh, thank you. This is the same. The answers to this crisis, the answers to how we cope with our day-to-day living, the answers to what we should do next, they're all within our consciousness. And that made me feel very hopeful, and something to sort of hold on to, if you like. And you really only start to see that when you go back to the now, when I don't try to think a week ahead or a month ahead or what will happen then, when I just come to, well, what do I need to deal with right now? And the insight I had around, well, I'm not being very responsible, I have to cancel things. When that came with all the sort of everything I needed to be able to put those things in place without the baggage of I'm letting people down, or what about this, or, you know, without that baggage, it came very clear as, no, this is what has to be done. Your team, my team, you know, I wanted to protect them and honour them. This is the sensible thing to do. And it made me realise that when you do live in the now, when you sit in the now, and you don't live in a negative or an ego-based thought, you can have answers to the problems in front of you. How is this resonating with people? I want to be respectful because I know that, you know, we're all in different places. So
I think it very much rings true for me. I wouldn't necessarily say it's in human consciousness. I think it's in the consciousness. And when we come back to the now, we tap into our inner wisdom, the universal mind. And then, yeah, it always comes to me in the same way as well, that it's just very clear. The answer is just very clear. There's no baggage with it. And I'm in Portugal, and Portugal is almost at lockdown. So the coffee shops are shut, which is a real big part of the culture here. So that's a shock. The streets are, there's a lot less people on the streets. They're asking us to stay at home. People are not able to go to work. The schools are closed. Some of the universities are closed. Thank God most of my work is online. But I have chosen to go into the city and see 2 clients because they've requested it. And I think it will be okay. So, but if I get different wisdom, I've told them, if I cancel on the day, I cancel on the day.
I love that, Fiona. And that's the thing, isn't it? Is that I was thinking today, you know, it's early to say this, and I know that I'm an optimist by nature, but I feel that there can be some really good things that can come out come from this.
Yeah.
You know, one of the things I thought was, I never really think about what it's like for people who are already isolated, you know, who are isolated before any of this, who are just on their own. Maybe this will raise our awareness about those people and help us to find ways of helping them and doing things about that. But it also really came home to me how that everyday wisdom, that I can make a decision today, but I can change that decision tomorrow if more wisdom comes to me or changes in the moment. So I really liked what you said there. Yeah, really cool. Hi, Leslie. I'm so sorry. Leslie's one of the people I've let down this week.
No, you haven't let me down. It's just one of those things. And do you know what? My only thought was for the lads, you know, because, you know, it's kind of much, you know, it's the Groundhog Day for them, isn't it? And that was my only disappointment. And I just feel for them.
Yeah.
Because I know how important it is to them.
Yeah.
But no, it's fine.
But won't that give them fodder to talk about? You know, the fact that you're not there to guide them through. They're thinking, well, this is going on, and when you go back, they're going to be which ones are going to say, well, this is what she was talking about. Let's do this. And others who are like, you know, I mean, it's just a good time for them to use it or get it for help from somebody else who has a better understanding. I mean, that's kind of, I'm getting goosebumps. That's kind of exciting. You know, right?
That's cool. That's really cool. And what occurred to me as well was we shouldn't underestimate their own wisdom, which is sort of what Carolyn's saying, because everybody has that. Everybody has it available to them, and who knows what they will come up with left to their own devices. Yeah. But I know what you're saying, Leslie. I feel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't get to see my granddaughter very much at all. She's in Boston, and maybe I get to see her once a year. And she called to say, the airline flights are so cheap, can I come down and visit?
Oh.
And we said no, because, you know, if we get it, we're more at risk. And it was killer to say that. And she came by to pick up something, you know, we handed it to her through the door. And then she had a whole day where she and her cousin had nothing to do. And we're in Florida and the beaches, you know, I mean, come on. And they're loaded because there's nothing else to do here right now. And I was like, oh, maybe I should go. She's going to the beach. And I just really had to use my wisdom. It's not worth the risk to, you know, be around her, having flown down from Boston. I think the airline was something like $29 or something.
Wow.
It was really cheap. It's like, I want to go.
I know. I know.
Her, you know. Anyway.
They've even closed some of the beaches here in Portugal, though, because if you think about it, when they shut the schools last Wednesday, I don't know why, because I don't speak the language that well, but they decided to shut the schools for one day, I guess, to see what it'd be like, and all the kids just went to the beach. So then it was actually more exposed to each other and the fires at the beach than they would have been in school. So now they've actually took the initiative and they've closed access to some of the beaches.
Wow.
So it does feel eerie, because today's the first real day it's kicked in. It does feel, I live in a village anyway, so it's very quiet, but it's even more quiet now.
I was thinking, we were supposed to be going to Minnesota in May. I guess that will be cancelled. But when I was speaking to the committee of the conference there, I was saying that it feels like to me that we have a responsibility. We understand the way that our experience of life is created. And it feels to me that we have a responsibility to be respectful, of course, of where people are at in their individual experiences right now, but also to help lessen the fear and uncertainty that people are feeling in some way. And I mean, I haven't got the answers for how we do that, but I have a request to you guys that you would consider that, you know, like what would you do? I mean, you don't have to come up with an answer now, but that you would consider, what would you do? What could you do to help other people have less thinking around this whole thing? Because the panic buying, that's all fear, isn't it, and uncertainty, and that's one thing that they can control, is go and buy toilet rolls and things. But it's all, you know, it's all to do with that fear. And it feels to me that we haven't got the answers, but we can surely help with that in some way. So you know, I thought, well, I could put out a daily video, and then I decided not to, because it seemed like, well, would that be, you know, would people not like that? And, you know, I have had sort of thoughts, but do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do Wisdom Entrepreneurs every Monday night. So I'm going to say, you know, this is available now more regularly, because I won't be running around so much. So, and if people want to come on and they want to share a little bit of what's going on for them, and they want to sit in a feeling of a different feeling, then maybe, you know, maybe they'll do that. So that's something that I can do, that I'll do. So that was my offer to you, is that you consider what would it be that you could do, if anything, to try and get that message to other people. Because if you help one other person have less fear, or live more in the now, or be more aware that, you know, we don't know what's going to happen, so we've just got to deal with it at one step at a time, that's going to help the world, right? We could all touch one person, even with social isolation, as Carolyn says, so long as we've got the internet. we'll just do this. So one of the things that occurred to me today was I've just recently offered one of our guys employment, and it's because, you know, there was like 2 or 3 contracts that it looked like they were going to come off, and it's always been something that I've wanted to do, etc., etc. So many reasons why to do that, and so that just happened last week. And today I thought, that's just really bad timing. Really bad timing, you know, and what's going to happen. And I got so ahead of myself with worrying about that, and wondering, you know, how's he going to take that, and how would we afford to keep him on, and all of these things. And then I just realized I just have to talk to him about that, and this is where we're at. And, you know, we can go, maybe we said we'd go for 3 months, well, maybe we'll only be able to go for a month, because we maybe need to see where things are at then. And it was interesting, because I haven't had that conversation yet, but it was interesting going through the motions of that, you know, going right up into that worrisome place of what should I do, and oh my God, I wish I hadn't done that. And then coming back down to this place of, well, okay, there's only one thing to do, is have that conversation, and that's it. Like, that's the only thing to do right now. And but to ignore that would be irresponsible. To ignore that conversation would be irresponsible, and to worry about that would be irresponsible. So I'm seeing a lot about responsibility. And yes, Jane.
Well, Jacqueline, I was going to say that he has had the acknowledgement from you that you value what he's got to contribute, even if the timing doesn't work out quite right now as you originally envisaged. He knows that you value him. and that's got to be worth a huge amount.
Yeah.
And one of the other things that I think is coming out of this situation is that people are looking for opportunities to be kind to each other and to support each other in practical ways or whatever, even if by ringing other people and things. So, you know, that's to be commended, isn't it?
That's wonderful. I love that you pointed that out. Yeah. Yeah, it's true. It's one of the other good things that could come out of it. Because it's like the world is together, isn't it? You know, in times of war and things, which I've never experienced directly, you know that the community comes together. And I've experienced some situations in my lifetime where community comes together and help each other out. I remember when I lived in Rubery, and we lived in a valley, a sort of a valley, and so our house was on a slope, and the sewerage pipes in the road burst. And so my row of houses, we all had sewerage literally lapping at our doors. So we were all at our doors, you know, trying to sort of sweep out the water and stop and the other things that were in the water, and you know, and sort of make it all stop and everything. But the wonderful thing about the whole thing was, because it was icky, was that everybody was in it together. So people were coming out, and the people who weren't affected because they were higher up, you know, they were coming and helping, and people were offering Wellington boots and things like, and brooms and things. And it was just so cool to see all the community come together. And it feels more like in this situation, the world is coming together, you know, that we are all in this together, and we're looking for ways to be kind, ways to find solutions. I love that. That's really lovely. Thank you.
I think I really agree with what Jane said, that the acknowledgement that you've gave that man is huge for him, and that's going to so boost what he thinks about himself, which is incredibly important, above and beyond the 3 principles. What he holds as his self-esteem, I think it's going to be very important. And it was funny, a colleague posted that her virtual door is open on Facebook this morning. I thought, oh, that's nice. That's a nice way of putting it. So I'm going to copy that idea. But also a neighbour asked me today if I would drive her to the cash machine, which I really didn't want to do because it's not very far. And I just said, no, but I can walk there. And she said, oh, will you walk with me? So I walked her to the cash machine. And it seemed like such a silly thing to do in a way, but it kind of really just made her morning that she had someone to walk with her.
Oh.
And we bought her dog, which she couldn't manage on her own. So little things are incredibly important, even if they seem a bit silly at the beginning.
Yeah, amazing. You just made me visualize a wall of all the little kindnesses that people have done. Hey, Shirley, did you want to say something?
I wonder, like, can these programs just need to be done online? Like the way we're doing this, that can be used in way more opportunities, looks to me.
Yes.
Like, isn't there something that we can all use this more, so that people don't have to travel? And before it was all about environment and we're not allowed to fly, and now it seems all to not matter anymore. Well, this opportunity is there, so what's the difference between being in person and delivering this way?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's good idea.
So can't you do this for prison?
No, they don't have online. They don't have internet.
But it's not just like putting them in a room and having you on screen would not be an option?
No, not with the current infrastructure. They're not allowed to have internet. It's too risky. They have conferencing, and they have video links with solicitors and things, but I think it's all through very secure means. So, I mean, it's not, I say no right now, but maybe it's something that could happen.
Yeah,
that's true.
These
Yeah.
are secure for a reason.
Yeah, that's true. Very good. Yeah.
And why can't you be a video conferencing? I agree with Shirley.
Yeah.
Use the technology that's already there.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. We'll get on it, won't we, Derrick?
Yeah, and make online programs and use the time we have now to help more people, because they're
really good. Yeah, I like it.
It takes some time to
figure it out. Yeah.
Yeah, because you don't know how long this is going to go on. I mean, my brain is going, a week or two. It could go on a very long time.
Yeah.
So a great time to, it's like, hey, look at this. Let's see, how can we do it? I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, it is a good idea.
That is actually a good idea, Jacqueline. that is actually a very good idea. But, the security issue, we know that there's not really nothing in that, but I think they've got a lot of boxes that they need to tick in order to let an outside connection come in with content that they're not got direct control over. So, but you can't help but ask, can you?
Well, and also, Derrick, I was just thinking that the military and things like that, there must be secure routes that you can do things by. So we just have to find out what is the secure route.
Yeah, it's like you said, they do video link to courts and probation officers, but it's on some like you said, some high tech secure line. So that is something that we could probably look into, isn't it?
Yeah,
definitely.
For sure. Yeah,
I'll get on that.
Again, you can just ask them. You can just ask them what do they have already, because they've already approved your program. So it's just one more step that surely they have the answer.
Exactly right. Yeah. Amazing, Shirley. We'll have to put your name on it. and then now you've set me off now, because then you could go anywhere. You could go anywhere. We wouldn't even have to leave your front room. You could help 85,000 people are in prison in the UK. You could help all of them.
Yeah, I feel so on fire. It's amazing. Today I feel like, why are all these people so stressed out? And I feel like pumped to really spread the message and help.
Amazing.
The technology is here. It's so easy. Like all the conferences. Why do it fly? We can do it this way too.
I know. I did think, it's funny, isn't it? Because I didn't join the dots, because I did think earlier one of the outcomes would be that there would be more eco-friendly conferences, as in people will do more things online, because now everyone's being forced to try it. And at the moment they're resistant, so instead of trying it, they're sort of postponing things and so on. But I thought, people will be forced to try it, and then there'll be less travel and it'll be more ecological and all the rest of it. But you've taken it a step further, because I didn't really think about doing it in prison. I was like, oh no, they'd never do that. Did you want to say something, Fiona?
Yeah, I was just thinking, all of my work's online, and I actually prefer it, because the advantage is that people are not thinking about the normal things they're thinking about when you meet up with them one-to-one. They're not thinking about that, of course they're thinking about the way you look, but they're not thinking about the surroundings as such, or that they're not caught up in their journey or the pragmatics of it. And I find the work online goes deeper and quicker. I've always worked online. It's only since I moved to Portugal that people are forcing me to see them in person because of their culture, because that's what they believe in.
Yeah. It's so interesting. Do you see what I mean? It's so interesting, isn't it, that this has thrown us into our resources. And and we're so creative and resourceful and amazing creatures that actually, you know, something like this forces you to be creative and think about different things. I love it. What a great group we've got.
And it's a lot of things that we take for granted, or we had taken for granted, that these things just happen, or these things just think. But something like this, just like you said, makes you draw into resources and start to think a little bit differently.
Yeah.
And you realize just how resilient and what's the word, like purposeful we are.
Yeah.
By any means, it has to get done.
So true.
And with the inner security that we are okay, we can, what's up, like we can do it.
Yeah, we can try. What's yeah, exactly.
I love that this meeting I feel so uplifted, you know, and it could have gone, not with us guys, of course, but it could have gone this way, you know, about how awful everything is. And it's not. It's about solutions and help. And I just love it. I love what I'm hearing and how I feel right now. It's great.
Yeah, me too. Hello, Sue. Nice to see you on here. I'm going to force you to speak. Yay.
I'm sorry I'm late. I'm in Norfolk at the moment and the connection here is terrible.
You're
But,
all right.
yeah, and lovely to hear everybody. And it's really interesting about this whole thing about people getting into their creativeness and everything. I love it.
Yeah, it's really cool. And just before Derrick and Sue came on, I was just saying that I offer out this idea that we can all think of creative ways that we can help other people through this, you know, time of uncertainty. And then everyone helped me, which is really cool. So yeah, that's really nice. I feel very blessed. Does anyone have any questions or anything that they'd like to share? Elsa, you going to say something?
Yeah, I was just thinking about it's interesting to see how we have this virus, but all the thinking about it and how it can change from moment to moment and day to day, and it looks horrible and it looks relaxed, and so it's just it's interesting to see how this illusion of life it's everything, all the thoughts that is put on top of a thing and make it like this or like that, or
Yeah.
So I see it also in my own life these days, and I was so relaxed about it. And then suddenly I started thinking some things, and today I have a sore throat and headache and feel not so good, and all the thinking you make about these things, and it's making it so clear for me how everything is made up in the moment.
Yeah. It's almost like a really special time, isn't it, that we're going through, where we're getting to live what we know, what we think, what we know. Yeah.
Also, actually, we have contact with Red Cross. They want to they're very interested in our project, and we were gonna start, and they were planning maybe we could start very quickly they want to bring this to the prisons, and but we're gonna do it, and but then now all the prisons are closed. We cannot have any visitors. So, but all the time we learn something new, and so it's gonna be exciting. See what's gonna happen.
Yeah, every time something like that happens, or something like, not that this happens very often, but that disruption, it constantly happens. It reminds me every time that nothing is linear. You know, we think in a linear way with our intellect. We think this will happen, then that will happen, then we get that, and then we get that, and so on. And nothing is linear. It just looks that way through our filter. And it's really healthy that we get this disruption, because then we go back to, oh yeah, okay, that's not going to work that way. Again, back to our resources, back to our resilience, back to our creativity. Well, what else? What next? And now it is that hunkering down. It also feels like, I mean, you know, you might be sort of stitching me back together in a month if it's still like this, but at the moment it looks like just the world had to slow down. It's like a message, like the world has had to slow down and just take a breath and go to what's important, like Jane was saying about caring for other people, and the kindnesses and the little kindnesses, like going and helping someone walk their dog, or go to the cash point, or reaching out to them, or offering this online. Those little kindnesses are coming to the front, aren't they? People helping each other, and that's a really cool thing that maybe we don't really notice when we're rushing around so much. Hi, Joe. Sorry, Joe, did you want to say something? Down there in Australia. Hi.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
From Australia?
We can hear you from Australia.
Speak up.
Well, it's happening here too, except that it's not quite. We're not quite as. Everything hasn't been cancelled yet. Public events have been cancelled, but I'm still teaching at the moment, so schools are still operating. And look, that may change. It might be like you. We might be like you in a week or so. So, but I've been listening to the whole thing so far, and I do think that the world is slowing down, and all that you've said about what strikes me too is that I think that if we can tackle this problem, if the whole world together tackle this problem, then we can also tackle the problems of the bigger problems, perhaps, of our kind of global problem of the environment and other things of that scale. So if we can slow down enough to really look at things, and we can be there for each other through this, then there's nothing really there's nothing we can't put our minds and our creativity to, and that we can't take on. So yeah, I feel quite positive about it. I mean, I've had a few moments of thinking, oh, what if, but we had this summer of terrible bushfires in Australia, and in pockets people were really helping each other, not all over, but in pockets. And Australia's been in the news recently, not good news either, for some of the behaviour of people kind of in fear and in panic, in you know, panic buying and all kinds of things. And I think that's sort of happening again in other places as well now, not just here, but it sort of makes everyone stop and look at themselves, you know. So, and I think what you're saying is right, that we can be, you know, bearing in mind we can, you know, we can kind of go up and down ourselves individually, but we can also kind of see that sort of through that, we can see where our thinking's coming from, and we can be a good example. We can help each other, we can do those things, and we can help other people perhaps to calm down more quickly, you know, to kind of to bring some sanity into it. So, and you know, I think that's a good thing. There's lots of good positive things that will come out of this terrible situation. So anyway, my 2 cents worth from down here.
It was very good 2 cents as well. Yeah. Did someone else want to speak? I think I saw someone. Was it Shirley? Yeah.
Yeah, I had some really interesting conversations today, and I noticed how easy it was to bring people back to silence and just to stand still and to see for themselves that they were just complaining about such minor things. Like, really? Is this what you want to worry about? Stand still? And just by doing that, it was like coming to another place, and reminding me how easy it is when we stay there to bring others to that place and to help them feel it. So I feel really as a beam of light at the moment, just having the conversations one-on-one by people walking in or on the telephone, canceling stuff, like it's everywhere.
That's so lovely.
I wanted to ask a question, actually, if I may.
Yeah.
So I'm working for an underprivileged charity in England at the moment on the internet, and it's quite amazing how it's worked, actually, because I've never done group coaching on the internet before, and it's actually worked out really well. So I'm pleased with that. But quite a few of these people have been to prison, and one of the men was talking about, he was saying, but that wouldn't work in prison, because if I show any weakness in prison, then I'll be killed. And he was quite determined with this. So I had to just say to him, well, to be absolutely honest with you, I've never been in prison. I don't know what the prison culture is. I was just wondering how you would have dealt with the same question, Jacqueline.
Well, I think there's probably someone more qualified than me to deal with that question on here. I'll hand it over to you, Derrick.
Yeah, it is, in a way, it is, he has got a point. It is hard to just let yourself go and sort of drop the guard or drop the mask that you portrayed, because you got to think you would have had to put on a mask to get into that situation. So once you're in there, you have to kind of keep that mask up. But then it's one of them ones where it's the strong way or the weak way. If you know that you're getting strength from finding out who you are, then you will just be who you are and don't really and suffer whatever consequences. And to say consequences, say you get killed, or I wouldn't say that. I'll say you just get thrown out of your whatever your usual social circle was, and you won't be known as that person that you were anymore. So it can be done, but it's just you have to be strong enough to just let people see the real you. Because at the end of the day, you're not changing who you are, you're just showing the real you. And if you understand, or if the person that's understanding the real them, they're probably not been in tune with that for a long time. So when they get that feeling, it just feels right. And it just feels like, yeah, this is me. And wow, I've had a mask up all this time. And you want to start telling them, do you know what? You need to take that mask off.
Yeah, I really appreciate what you've said, and really like it, because what I said next was, well, are you open to just carry on exploring what we're talking about and see what happens? And in his words, what he came to was that, you know, he was always operating with the criminal mind, he called it. And even when he left prison, he was still operating with a criminal mind. And then he said to me, you know, at the start of one call, he said to me, Fiona, I see you as a citizen. And I'm sitting here thinking, is this a good thing or a bad thing? You know, is this a good way or a bad way to start the phone call? So it's just like, yeah. And then he said, and now I see myself as a citizen. I've dropped the criminal mind. And I realised, and he carried on, and I was just like, wow, you know, and I would have never come up with that in my own wisdom, you know, so it was great. And apart from his swearing, this guy sounds enlightened now. He's done really well.
That's really cool. And that's what I would have said, is that we can't say, you got to drop a mask, or, you know, if you haven't got lived experience, you definitely can't say it. Because people have to get to that place, and they might get there by different ways. So all you can do is acknowledge that, or all I can do is acknowledge where they're at. But when you keep having, like you said, you know, are you willing to sit in the conversation? But you keep having the conversation, actually their own consciousness shifts, and they see for themselves what that might mean to them. Which Derrick describes in one way, other people were describing in other ways. But it sounds like you did a great job.
Well, it was really awesome, because I was completely out of my comfort zone, and
Amazing.
there was absolutely no point saying to them, you know, there's thought, consciousness, and universal mind, because they would, you know, we can all, some of us smiling like Leslie, we can imagine the response if I started with that. So yeah, I was just very grateful, and they've taught me so much. I've been so happy.
Yeah, brilliant. Really
Yeah, Fiona, it's like you left him with himself to think over in his head, and some thought occurred to him, and like I said, he saw you like a citizen, and probably really he's always wanted to be a citizen. So when he saw himself as a citizen, it felt good to him to, like, because he probably thought, I could never see myself as a citizen. So you've left that with him, and then now, I bet you, I ain't going to assume, but he probably wants to be more like a citizen.
Yeah. Well, we're still in touch, because he's out of the prison system, and he's part of this foundation that I'm kind of working for, but that's a whole new story.
Sounds amazing. Who's Debbie? Is it our Debbie? Or is it another Debbie? Well, what's the definition of our Debbie? You're our Debbie because you're on here. Shy. So Derrick and I have another meet. Oh, go on, Debbie.
It is. It is.
Oh, it is our Debbie.
It's just I've been eating my tea, so I didn't think you'd want to be seeing that. So that's why I've not got my video on.
Oh, it's nice to see you. Oh, hear you.
Thank you. Nice to be here. I'm enjoying the conversation.
Oh, good. Yeah, so Derrick and I have to go. We've got another thing at 7. But is there any final comments or questions or anything people want to share, Jane?
With all this going on today, I don't know what it's been like for you, Jacqueline, where you are. It's just been the most beautiful day. The weather has been just absolutely stunning, unusually so compared to the weather we've had of late. And it's just been nice to appreciate that today. And thank you for this evening.
You made me shiver then. That's lovely. And it's interesting because I've had a few messages from people saying, oh, I've decided to just do the garden or go for a walk or just take time out in the sunshine to exactly do that, appreciate the weather. So yeah, another thing that we can enjoy when we slow down. So I was going to just read a little bit more from the Living in the Now to end us with, to take away with us. And I'm really excited by your suggestions. My mind, I've had to keep bringing my mind back to the now, because my mind's already gone all over the place with this. So Shirley, thank you for that. And Fiona. So it's not very long. I'm going to read the chapter if that's okay. Living in the now. Through the centuries, the wise have told us to live in the now. This is why I say to you, the past is a ghost that cannot be held in the palm of your hand. The future cannot be grasped, no matter how desirable or enticing it may appear. Nor can the present be held, no matter how beautiful or exciting. Begin the process of nourishing the soul by living in the now. Forget the past and the future and just be. You will surely be rewarded by living in the now. When Eastern mystics describe the now, they are not talking about today as a specific day of the month and year. Their meaning goes deeper. When such people refer to the now, they mean the personal mind is free from the contaminants of yesterday's memories and fears. This in turn frees the mind to see with clarity things as they are, not through distorted memories and apprehensions. Living in the now requires a clear mind. In clearing our minds, we may have to give up something to receive something. If you wanted to replace a glass of stale wine with fresh wine, first you must pour out the old wine. It is the same with clearing our minds of unwanted, stale thoughts. We must rid ourselves of yesterday's negative thoughts to receive today's new and positive feelings. I do not ask anyone to ignore their past experiences. This would be denial, and denial is not a healthy state. Instead, seek a clearer understanding of the past. Realize that negative feelings and emotions from the past, traumatic experiences, are no longer true. They are merely memories, a collection of old, stale thoughts. As surely as rust slowly destroys the strongest steel, hate and negative thoughts erode the soul of humanity. Negative thoughts are like scratches on a window. They stop you from seeing life with clarity. When negative thoughts cease, the scratches disappear and the window becomes crystal clear. Then the beauty and positive aspects of life can be seen. The past is dead. Forget what is old and dead and start life anew. Discard the restless, haunting ghosts of yesterday and set yourself free to live the beauty of today. Change the pattern of your thoughts from negative to positive, and automatically the condition of your life will change for the better. Just as the gardener rids a garden of unwanted weeds, we must rid our minds of pernicious thoughts, which, like weeds, crowd out the beauty from our minds. I call the process of casting away negative thoughts a spiritual mind treatment. Our thoughts are our guide. A good guide navigates through the maze of life by following the pathway of love and understanding. If your thoughts wander onto a negative and rocky path, don't take them too seriously. Refrain from analysing, because you will analyse yourself forever, never reaching an end, and fail bitterly to find peace of mind. What happened in the past may have influenced our present day's social or personal problems, but please believe me, there's no answer to these problems in the past. Only in the now can the answer be found. The intensity and importance of such events dissipates as we see that the past is no longer a reality, but a memory carried through time via our own thoughts. Deal not with the conditions of the past, but look to the laws of cause and effect. See the effect and the consequences thought has on our everyday lives. Seek simplicity and logic, psychologic. When your mind is full of negative thoughts, you automatically see and live in a negative reality. By the same rule, a mind centered on positive thoughts automatically lives in a far more pleasant reality. Let your negative thoughts go. They are nothing more than passing thoughts. You are then on your way to finding peace of mind, the peace of mind you seek, having healthier feelings for yourself and for others. This is simple logic. Thank you, everybody.
What book is that from?
That's from The Missing Link.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you next week.
Yes.
Take care. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. See you in a minute, Derrick.
See you in a minute, Jacqueline.